I healed myself of 45 years of narcissistic abuse. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I did that. So I was raised in a toxic environment, and I didn't know it. And like most people don't know, you're raised in a toxic environment. You don't know that it's a toxic environment because you have nothing else to measure it against. I seemed like I had a picture perfect family as far as I was concerned. And, they did great things. We had some great events. We did, certain things that were great, but I didn't understand what emotional nurturing was, right? I always felt like I wasn't loved, but I didn't understand why. And so, when I was 45 years old, I'm in my 50s now. When I was 45 years old, I had relocated. I used to live in Seattle. I live in Texas now. And what's crazy is that I was talking to my mom, and she used to always talk bad about my sister or whatever. And then she would talk to my sister bad about me, right? And she called me up and she said that, hey, I think your sister's a narcissist. And I was like, what's that? So I went on Pinterest and did a little search and found everything that my family ever had said to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I have a name for it for the first time. And my sister was queen of smear campaigns. She spent her entire life doing smear campaigns against me. All the horrible things that she did to me, she said to everyone that I did to her, right? And she's, said a lot of lies, always making herself the victim. And I separated myself from her years ago before I even moved from Texas. I was like, we never had a relationship. It was always transactional, what I would do for her. It's the only time that she ever wanted in my life. She's never done anything for me, ever. There's not a single memory I have of her ever doing anything nice for me, ever. And what's crazy is that at the time that I found all of that information, I also found a book from a lady by the name of Dr. Karyl McBride. She has a 99% recovery rate for children that are raised in toxic environments. And she has a book. It's a 6 months program that you go through. And once you go through this program, that you are then naturally sent on this healing journey that as you continue on, you'll be healed, right? And so there are certain requirements that you've got to go through to heal. I'll put the link of that book down below if you want to check it out. There's also one for men if you are male, and it is, I believe it's called Will the Drama Ever End, right? Will I Ever Be Good Enough is really specifically for women. And what's interesting is that when you deal with autoimmune issues, it's often connected to, being that empath that has been raised in a toxic environment, doesn't really have the boundaries, all of that kind of stuff.
80% of autoimmune disease, which are diseases where the immune system attacks the body that is supposed to protect, people had 4 significant characteristics. They tended to put other people's emotional needs ahead of their own, and they tended to ignore their own. Number 2, they tended to identify duty, role, and responsibility rather than the needs of the self. Number 3, they tended to be very nice, which means they repressed healthy anger. And number 4, these people tended to believe that they're responsible for other people feel, believe that they was never disappoint anybody.
And I went from somebody who had no self-love, no confidence, didn't know who I was, couldn't make my own decisions, severe CPTSD, severe trauma, severe flashbacks, and, just always out there following the rules, trying to make the right decision, didn't know how to make decisions because I always depended on my mom to make decisions, to somebody who has self-confidence, feels loved, doesn't feel empty anymore. I know who I am. I was able to heal my childhood so that I don't get any of those flashbacks anymore. I was able to reverse CPTSD using NLP, so I don't have PTSD anymore. And I was able to completely restore my life. And I transformed myself from the inside out, because in my 40s, I was still a child. I was like an adult child. And, there was something in me that just broke, and I was ready to make this change. And when I went through the program, a lot of the exercises, it just kind of felt like, why am I doing these exercises? I feel like I'm wasting time. There's a lot of grief you go through, a lot of pain of realizing that you were never loved. But when you go through that, on the other side, you find love. And you find out what healthy relationships are, and you find wholeness. And I can honestly say that I am 100% happy now that I've healed myself of all of the lifetime of abuse and also all of the chronic illness. I'm in a whole new phase of my life. And the other thing about this is that when you're raised in an environment like that, you tend to experience a lot of traumas and a lot of things happen to you because you don't see red flags. This happens in relationships, and this also happens just in things happening to you. Like I was held hostage by the mafia and nearly murdered. Why? Because I was in church environments that I didn't see red flags, and they were there to take me out, right? And I trusted people that I shouldn't have trusted. There were just a lot of things like that I experienced that I wouldn't have experienced had I not had this background. The other thing is, I was a minister for many years. Technically, I still am. But I don't do anything inside the churches anymore. I don't go to church. And the reason for that, I spent my life in church, number one. And I realized, and Dr. Karyl McBride talks about this, is that when you're raised in that type of environment, you tend to go into these toxic church environments, and not all of them are set up this way, but the ones that are set up where there's the leader and everyone is there is to serve that leader's purpose. Everyone there is to make their purpose, their dreams, their goals, their charities, their whatevers succeed. That's a toxic environment. It's this serve my vision, and someday you'll have your vision served is sort of what it is. And, give me your money, make me succeed. And, after working and doing marketing for some of the top TV preachers out there that are super well known, I realized I didn't want to be like them. So I closed my ministry, formal ministry, because I saw ministry as people encountering God for the first time and experiencing the love of God, the tangible love of God, because that's what I experienced, and that's what saved me in the environment that I grew up in. And, I had a lot of supernatural experiences, and I will talk about that in another video where we'll dive deeper into the supernatural side of healing from narcissistic abuse and what that might look like and what my experiences are. So I'm not here to diagnose anyone. I'm not here to, give any type of diagnosis or any of that kind of stuff. Obviously, always check with your doctor with anything that I recommend, because I'm here to share my story and the resources around what have helped me. Is the high-level summary of my healing journey. And if you're here, this channel and everything that I post on it going forward will all be about how to heal both physically and mentally in your life. And I'm just sharing my story. And, I do have training, and I've gone to college for counseling and psychology, and obviously been a minister for many years. So there are certain things that I can help. But again, it's the internet, right? So I don't know who I'm talking to. So always make sure that you check with your doctor and, consider your own circumstances, all of that. Make sure that you make wise decisions. Keep yourself safe. That is my story, and hopefully you will consider subscribing to my YouTube channel.